Welcome, everyone. I see there are 21 of us here, and I'm so curious where you are coming in from. I am Victoria Angelheart, and I'm coming to you from Maui in Hawaii. And I'm really excited to be sharing a practice that's really, really close to my heart with you. Aw, hi, Belle. Welcome back. Welcome back, Forest Fairy. Hi, John. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Steffi. It's so good to see you guys here. Hi, Megan. It's always such a gift when I log on every day and get to see familiar faces now and get to meet new people. I teach here live on the Insight Timer every day, once or twice a day, different practices, and I'm really excited to share a practice of eating with presence today. Hi, Charlie and Annie and Johnny. Wow, mostly people from the US, from Mexico. Hi, Hallie. Welcome, everyone. I am a little bit different from most of the teachers you'll find on the Insight Timer because not only am I a professional mindfulness teacher trained at UCLA, but I'm also a sacred musician. And I always incorporate music into my classes because I believe that the vibration and the frequency of music is so healing. And it can really open us to receive in a way that sometimes words can't penetrate into that level. So I'm going to be offering some songs today as well as a practice that we're going to do together. And the most important thing for you to have for this practice is a food that you have eaten too much of during the pandemic. Or, if that's not accessible, a food that you like to eat and maybe you could lay off of a little bit. Brazil and Canada, New York, Texas, California. Welcome to all of you. Cookie dough, yeah. So we're actually going to practice with this food. So if you need to take a minute and go into your kitchen and pick it up and bring it back to wherever you are, go ahead and do that because this is an experience. I can tell you all about mindful eating, but until you actually really dig into the experience of it for yourself, you can't understand a different way of relating to this food. I'm curious, happy birthday, Belle. I'm curious, all of you who are here, have you gained weight since the pandemic started? You can admit to it or not. I know that a lot of people have struggled with gaining weight. I'm one of the only people I know who has actually lost a lot of weight during the pandemic. And it's because of this mindfulness practice that I've implemented and because of the routines and structures I was able to give myself and the changes I made in my eating habits. So I see that some people have gained weight, some people have lost a little bit of weight. We're celebrating Belle's birthday and feeling into that love in this moment. I want to just share a little bit more about me, and then we will get into the practice that we're here for. So like I said, my name is Victoria Angelheart, and I'm a UCLA trained mindfulness meditation teacher, and I am also a sacred musician. And the other thing that I do is I lead one-on-one sessions of mindful life resets for people who are struggling with overwhelm, anxiety, stress, insomnia, chronic pain to really take control of their lives again. And I do group programs with that as well. And all of these things go together with the work that I do. I'm studying under Dr. Judson Brewer to be a mindfulness-based behavior change facilitator. And I've been doing this work with him for the last 2 years. And I have seen significant changes in my relationship with food since I started working with Dr. Judd. But even before that, 6 years ago, I weighed 200 pounds and I was pre-diabetic at the age of 24. And I thought my whole life was over. I had chronic pain, I had insomnia, and I really thought that I was never going to be healthy or in shape again. And now I am 30 years old and I look so much younger than I did 6 years ago. I weigh 50 pounds less and I'm in the best shape of my life. And I can attribute all of that to my shift in my mindfulness. As I started practicing mindfulness, I began to realize and recognize and become aware of the ways in which I was creating suffering in my physical body because I was getting a few things confused. First of all, the most important thing I was confusing was the difference between hunger and craving. So I'm curious, maybe you also don't quite know the difference between hunger and craving. And I'll just name a few ways that you can tell the difference between if you're actually truly physically hungry or if you're having a craving. And so I'll just tell you about what it's like if it's a craving. You can see if you resonate with this. So if you're having a craving, it comes on suddenly and it can be really overwhelming. Like 1 second, you're totally normal, you're going about your day, and the next second, the only thing you can think about is chocolate ice cream. And it's really specific. It's like, I want chocolate ice cream and I want it now. And it feels really urgent that now I have to have it. I can't, like, everything else has to be on pause until I get to eat what I want right now. And oftentimes this craving comes along with emotions. Like maybe your boss just yelled at you and now you want to go eat ice cream. Or maybe you realize that the election is coming up and you don't know what's going to happen and you feel really overwhelmed and stressed because it's really important to you that Americans live in a working democracy, and that overwhelms you and you reach for some more popcorn. So it comes up, oftentimes the craving comes up with the emotion. And it comes up automatically. You don't have to think about a food to crave it. It just happens and then it's there and you're like, whoa, all right, I'm craving this chocolate ice cream. And even when you eat it, it doesn't stop the craving. You eat it and you're physically full. And oftentimes that leads to the next symptom of craving, which is that at the end, after you've eaten it, you feel guilty or you feel ashamed. I'm noticing some of your comments and it seems like you have some awareness of the fact that you're craving and of what you're craving and why you're craving. And that in itself is a breakthrough. So just give yourself some nurturing and some compassion and some gratitude. Wow, like you're waking up to seeing the automatic ways in which you eat and how that they can actually be creating suffering and leading to dis-ease in your body. And it's not that you're doing it on purpose, and it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that you have this habit loop that you're stuck in right now where you have been conditioned to believe that when something happens, if you eat this thing, you'll feel better, or it will numb whatever you don't want to feel. And that's totally normal. That's the way our brains work. And Dr. Judd, my professor, talks about that a lot, the reward-based thinking. And we use mindfulness as a way of interrupting that habit loop. And I have seen so many times in my own life as I struggled. I was diagnosed with binge eating disorder several years ago. And I saw that for me, cravings came when I felt out of control. When I couldn't figure out what was happening in my life and there were things that I couldn't fix, then all of a sudden, all I wanted to do was eat chocolate ice cream. So maybe you can relate. And yes, somebody, Vanda just said that COVID equals isolation equals comfort food. Yes. How many of you have oh my gosh, I can't talk. How many of you have felt that feeling really intensely, that you feel lonely, you feel isolated, you want to feel nurtured, you want to feel safe, you want to feel loved. And so you turn to food because it reminds you of times in your life where that has been your reality. Brittany is sharing that it feels nice to know that she's not alone and that her friends make it seem like they only eat healthy food, which makes her feel worse. Maybe you can relate to that. I live on the island of Maui, where everyone I know only eats local, organic, non-GMO food. And when I first moved here, I didn't eat like that. And I still ate fast food and junk food, and I felt so much shame and judgment because I didn't think I was eating right, and everyone else was doing it better than me, and everyone else had it figured out. And it caused me to actually retreat further and isolate more because I didn't feel like anyone could relate to me, and I just felt a lot of judgment. And a lot of that judgment was just internal stories that I was telling myself. And so part of what we're doing here as we interrupt our habitual thinking and interrupt our cravings is recognizing the stories that we tell ourselves, the ways that we convince ourselves that if we just eat the ice cream, we'll feel better. We won't feel so alone. We'll remember the good times we had with our parents. And while in the moment it might seem like that's like a good idea, realistically, after you eat it, something else happens. And oftentimes that's feeling bloated, that's feeling maybe even nauseous. You feel like you've stuffed yourself, you're so full. And then comes regret. And sometimes that even turns into bulimia in some people. And just knowing that if that has been the case in your life, holding that with compassion, knowing that your body, your mind are doing the best they can to take care of you and protect you. And they think that by punishing you for what you have done, you'll learn your lesson. That's what your parents did, right? It totally worked. Totally, right? All right, Pamela, I turned up the volume. That might be a little too much. You can let me know. Yeah. I'm taking a second to read some of your comments. Oh, my computer is freezing. Yeah, feeling alone, feeling not good enough. Yeah. I remember, so Pamela, you can check on your end. I actually can't turn my volume up anymore, but if you turn your phone the rotation, usually I think it's from portrait to landscape, somehow that does something to make the volume go higher. And you can also try exiting the live stream and coming back in to make the volume come up. The only thing I can do is bring it a little bit closer to my mouth. So feeling not connected, yeah, feeling like you want to have comfort. Yeah, Evan. Yeah, holding you with compassion as thinking that, yeah, these behaviors that you are using as coping mechanisms will protect you from the harm that you're experiencing from others on the outside. And what I want to offer is a way of really bringing such compassion to ourselves. So many of us are so disconnected from the truth of our being because we're so wrapped up in being who we think we're supposed to be all the time. We think if we just do this, then we'll finally be good enough. If we get this degree, or if we get married, or we raise our kids right, whatever it is, then finally one day we'll check off the box and we'll be good enough. And until that day, we don't feel worthy. And when we don't feel worthy, we turn to things that numb us, that keep us from having to feel what we don't want to feel. And we turn to things that make us feel better. And so much of the time, that is food. And so just honoring that you are doing the best you can with the knowledge and the skills that you've cultivated up until this point. And the way in which you've learned to cope is a protective mechanism that your mind loves you so much that it wants you to feel safe. And so perhaps inviting in, putting your hand on your heart, just a little bit of gratitude for, even if it isn't working the way that you would like, feeling gratitude that your body is processing the foods that you're putting in it, and your mind is actually doing its best to keep you safe, to protect you, to help you feel okay, to help you not feel so sad or lonely, perhaps. It's trying to support you to feel nurtured. Yeah, and recognizing, I'm reading some of the comments about feeling depression, feeling isolated, feeling that you are disconnected from yourself or you're not feeling like yourself. And I just want to honor that there's so much realness in that, and that we all struggle with that at different times. I struggle with it, even as a professional mindfulness teacher, even having all of these skills and all of these tools available to me. There are still days that I fall down on the floor crying and feel like I can't pick myself up for hours because the weight of the world just feels like it's too much. And in those moments, that's when I often turn to comfort foods, because I want to numb and because I want to feel better. So if that has been your experience during the pandemic, know that it's perfectly normal, and know that you can start to cultivate new ways of relating to your thoughts and relating to the cravings that come up. So I want to talk first about thoughts, because there is a direct correlation between the thoughts that you think, the emotions that you feel, and the cravings that you have. And one place that we can interrupt our thoughts is by reminding ourselves of the small, tiny truth that can be so life-changing. That is that thoughts are not facts. So just taking a moment to let that sink in, that thoughts are not facts. You don't have to believe everything you think. And in the same way, you don't have to act on every craving that you have. Just because there's a thought, I must eat chocolate ice cream, doesn't mean that you actually have to. But sometimes we think that we have to because it's so strong and so intense. So the practice of mindfulness gives us space. It gives us the opportunity to have another way of relating by recognizing, first of all, what that story is. When we catch ourselves in a craving, we catch ourselves, I want chocolate ice cream, I must have it right now. We can actually take a pause and actually just wait a second, taking in a really slow, deep breath. Let's all practice now, just breathing in slowly through the nose, then exhaling gently through the mouth. Breathing in slowly through the nose, breathing out gently through the mouth. One more time. Slowly in through the nose, gently out through the mouth. And just in 3 breaths, you might notice that your craving has shifted. You might notice that your emotions have changed. You might notice some space around that thought where you can recognize, excuse me, that the thought that's leading to this craving is not a fact. The thought about this craving is not necessarily true. It's not true that you can't go on with your day until you get this ice cream. And as you listen to your thoughts, you can invite in some compassion by recognizing that your thoughts, they're thinking themselves automatically until you wake up and you stop reacting and you start responding. So I'm going to teach you a technique that I've developed called real relief. And you can use real relief for cravings. And it starts with understanding first where you're at. And then it goes into being with the experience. And as we go through the real relief practice, I encourage you to just be really compassionate with yourself. Because this is something new. And this is something that you cultivate with time and with practice. Mindfulness is a practice because we never get there. We're never just achieving mindfulness and we can check it off the list. It's something that's always ebbing and flowing, and we're always relating to it in a new way. And we can hold ourselves with compassion in relation to our cravings as we cultivate real relief, as we hold ourselves with mindfulness. All right, so we're going to start the practice of real relief. And to start this practice, I'm going to sing you a little song. It's coming up. It'll be my first single on my album that is releasing very soon. And it'll be out here on the Insight Timer in a few weeks or sooner. And those of you who've meditated with me before are aware of this song. It's called May I Be Open. And the instrument I'm playing is called a Shruti box. It's from India. It looks like this and like this, but you probably can't see it because it's in my lap. So my invitation is for you to just listen to the words of this song. And as you listen to the words, for you to just let more ease and more presence come into your body as you let your heart open. My teacher, his name is Hazrat Inayat Khan. He's a Sufi teacher, and I was reading in one of his books this morning, and it said, words spoken from the lips go only as far as the ears, but words spoken from the heart go to the heart. And that's why I'm here now, to offer words from the heart to the heart. So you might have been noticing in the last few minutes that you might feel frustrated or overwhelmed or shameful because of your relationship with food and with craving. And in this moment, I invite you to let go of that story and instead to just be present with the feelings that arise as you hear the words in this song. They're offered as a prayer for what's possible for you. So I'm only going to sing part of the song now. I'll sing the rest of the song at the end of our practice. The words I'll sing are this. May I be open. May I be free. May I receive. May I be at ease. So I'll repeat this several times and you can sing along. And this is just an opportunity, if you don't want to sing along, to give your mind something to focus on. Focus on the sound of the music and focus on the vibration and feeling it entering and leaving and flowing through you. May I be free. So just feeling into your heart and letting yourself open, letting yourself be free, letting yourself receive and be at ease. This practice of real relief is a practice of when we catch ourselves. When we catch ourselves in a moment of overwhelming emotion that shows up as a craving, we can invite ourselves to open. We can invite in more freedom. We can invite a receptivity to the truth, not the stories. And we can invite in ease into our bodies so that we can relax and rest and not be so strung up around what we think we should do or feeling that compulsive urge to have to eat something. So for this practice, you can close your eyes. There's no need to look at me. You don't need to take notes on this. I have a similar practice to this already here on the Insight Timer. I've been a teacher here for almost 3 years, and I have 65 meditations you can choose from. 35 of them are about sleep. And this practice is being recorded, and it will be uploaded to the Insight Timer, probably within a few days or a week at the most. So this practice is an opportunity for you to experience real relief when you have a craving. So we'll start with 2 different ways of anchoring our awareness. And the first is anchoring our awareness in the belly. And the second will be anchoring our awareness in the heart center, in the chest. So bringing one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly, and then allowing your eyes to close as we create coherence, alignment, resonance between our mind and our heart. So we'll do this by breathing in for the count of 6 and out for the count of 6. I'll focus on the counting. You focus on the experiencing. Your hand is here on your belly. I want you to really get into the lived experience of breathing in and feeling your belly rise, feeling your hand move. Breathing out, feeling your belly fall, your hand releasing. So we'll begin by taking a clearing breath together. So breathing in and just sighing out the mouth. Letting go. And then breathing in, focusing on the belly and the physical sensations. Breathing out, feeling the fall. And we'll start counting together. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continuing on, feeling the rise, the belly, breathing out, noticing the release. And then drawing your awareness up to the hand that's on your heart. Recognizing that sometimes when we are feeling a craving, we feel frustrated or scared or angry. We feel fearful, we feel stressed, we feel anxious. And those emotions can be overwhelming in our heart. Might feel like too much and we just want to shut down. And know that if that feels resonant and true for you and your experience, that it's also true for the rest of us. And those are coping mechanisms that your body has adapted to use because that's the way it has worked best so far. And now we're going to try something else. With your hand on your heart, this is another way you can anchor your attention out of the craving and into the present moment. And that's through accessing, even if it's just a teeny tiny bit, the true nature that's beyond, behind all those emotions. They're always changing. But what's not changing is your basic goodness. You are basically good inside. You are so good inside. And you have the opportunity to feel in this moment, even if it's just a tiny bit, that natural, open-hearted state of presence that is always right underneath the surface, that's right below the shifting, changing, stormy waves of the sea. It's calm underneath. And in that underneath place, that's where you feel the heartbeat within you of your basic goodness. And so we're going to breathe in and out for 6 now. And as you breathe in, I invite you to see if it's possible to breathe into your basic goodness and allow it to fill up your chest. And then as you breathe out, I invite you to start sending it down through your whole body and inviting in some ease, some relaxation, only as much as you feel capable in this moment. And if this feels inaccessible to you in this moment, you can always come back and just let your attention stay focused on the breath. But if you'd like to give this a try of putting down the worries, the fear, the anxiety, the anger, the stress, whatever is the storm of emotion that might be sweeping you into a craving, and to take a second to go behind it, to go beyond it, back to the truth of the goodness that's always there inside of you, I invite you to do so. It's just for 2 minutes or so, just being curious. Mindfulness is being the scientist, the observer of your lived experience. So seeing what happens if you consciously bring your awareness to filling up your heart center with goodness as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, letting it wash over your body and letting you relax. So we'll take a clearing breath, breathing in and just sighing out the mouth, letting go. Focusing on the heart and the goodness, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continuing on at your own pace, letting yourself feel your goodness, letting yourself relax, letting it wash over you. And I use this at the beginning of the real relief practice because it's a way of shifting your awareness from whatever strong emotion you've been caught up in, which has to do with the future or the past or judging the present, into the pure awareness of the present and into consciously creating the reality in which you want to live. So at any point throughout your day, not just when you're having a craving, but any sort of difficult emotion that comes up, you can invoke the power of the pause. You can create coherence. You can regulate your nervous system by doing this breath in and out, slowly counting to 6, focusing on the rising, the falling in the belly, focusing on the heart center, focusing on your basic goodness. These are 2 anchors you can come back to over and over again. So now, I invite you, if you have a food that you have been craving a lot recently, I invite you to either look at it or to just call it to mind. A lot of us are joining, haven't been here since the beginning. So if you don't have that food in front of you and you don't want to go get it, that's okay. But calling to mind this food that you've been craving, this food that has brought you comfort, and recognizing what is the strong emotion that you get caught up in when you're craving this food. Is it usually that you need comfort? Is it that you are feeling afraid? That you need nurturing? Recognizing if it is caused by anxiety, you reach for this food when life feels overwhelming. So being with whatever is true and just taking a moment to prepare for eating this food. Because if you have it with you in a moment, we will actually eat the food. But we don't have to. Because what we're doing now is seeing what happens if we bring real relief to the craving. And it starts by just being present. The R of real relief is recognize. So in this case, when we're working with food, we're working with cravings, first we recognize that we are having a craving. That's what I spoke of earlier. It's interrupting that automatic habit where you have a craving and then before you even realize it, you've already eaten the food. So this is an opportunity for you to interrupt as you recognize, oh, I'm craving chocolate ice cream right now. And in this case, what I brought with me for this practice is something I haven't eaten in 3 years, but I bought it last night because I used to crave it and I thought it would be a good experience to be here with this with all of you. I got a Snickers. It's been 3 years since I had a Snickers. And last night I did this practice with myself just to make sure that it really would work, and I was astounded. So I'm really, really even more stoked to share it with you after I've tried it on many of my clients. Or I'm not on them, but we've tried it together in many classes that I've taught and many clients that I've had. But when I got this Snickers out last night, I thought, oh man, this is game over the moment I smelled it. And yet, real relief worked. So let me share with you how it works. It starts with, if you have the food in front of you, taking it out and actually looking at it. This is what you normally do in mindful eating. You recognize, okay, I'm having a craving, and now I still want to eat it, so I'm going to eat it, but I'm going to eat it with mindfulness. And so that means, first of all, just putting it in your hand and touching it and turning it over and just examining. Maybe you've never done this before, and if this is the first time, if you're new to the practice of mindful eating, this is a great way to start when you're having a craving, is to be really curious about what is it you actually want to put into your body. And as you look at it, you can notice the textures, you can notice the colors, the shapes. There are all these weird zigzag lines on the bottom of the Snickers bar. You can just notice whatever is real. And then you can feel it. You notice the texture. And then bring it up to your nose. And this is where I got lost in craving for years. The second I smelled a Snickers bar, my mouth would water. And suddenly, the only thing I could do was put that Snickers bar in my mouth immediately. But part of getting real relief is just by being the scientist for a moment, recognizing that yes, you can still have this bite of Snickers, but practicing the power of the pause, invoking in the recognition of what's really here. So smelling it, recognizing, actually, this smells like chemicals. This smells like caramel, like just naming whatever is there, whatever is real. And so taking a second and doing that if you have the food in front of you. You're looking at it, you're touching it, you're smelling it, but you're not tasting it yet. And this part of the practice comes from my professor, Dr. Judson Brewer, who invites us when we have a craving to actually envision eating the amount of this food that we're craving in our minds. So as you're looking at it, as you're seeing it in front of you, just imagine that you're eating it without actually putting it in your mouth. And imagine that you're eating as much of this food as you would like. And then notice that it settles in your belly. And just be with, what does it feel like? We're in the E of real relief now. We're experiencing, only in our minds for now. We'll get to the real experience in a moment. But experiencing, what does my belly actually feel like? When I'm imagining that I've just eaten as much of this Snickers bar as I want, how do I feel inside? And then experiencing what's real in my thoughts, what's real in my emotions. Am I feeling guilty now? Am I feeling shame? Am I feeling a sugar high? Just being with what's there. And then noticing how content you feel. Do you actually feel like, just in your mind, this was a good decision? That you feel really good and content with this food that you've just put in your body? Do you feel satisfied? Do you feel satiated? And if the answer is no, not having any judgment, but going into the A of real relief is allowing. And that's just allowing yourself to feel whatever is real right now. And you might still really, what's real could be that you're actually still really craving this Snickers, this chocolate ice cream, whatever it is. So we're not discounting that. We're just being with whatever is real. So we have recognized our craving. We've recognized, we've looked at the food that we want to be eating. We've smelled it, we've touched it. We have gotten the experience internally, the E of real relief. We've experienced what it would feel like to eat this food and the amount we want to eat of it. And we've allowed ourselves to notice what's real. Like, how will we feel after we eat this Snickers, after we eat this ice cream, whatever it is. We've allowed ourselves to be present with what is. And then the L of real relief is to let go with love. And when I say let go with love, what I mean is to have some compassion for that part of you that is needing to be filled up, that is craving. We cannot fill our emotional needs with physical food. And if you notice that after you've envisioned yourself having eaten that Snickers bar, that you still feel empty inside, you might notice that what you actually need is some comfort to yourself. You need to send yourself a little bit of nurturing and love. And that's when you can come back in and access what we started with, that practice of feeling into your basic goodness. Because when you have a craving, it's coming up because it needs attention. Something in your body is out of balance. Your mind is out of balance. Perhaps it needs to be regulated. It needs to be loved and supported. So when we practice real relief, before we even give in to our craving at all, we allow ourselves to feel what's real in our bodies, what's real in our emotions, and then we let go with love of having to fulfill it. And instead, we just sit with it and love it. Recognize, wow, thank you for coming up so that you give me an opportunity to wake up to know that what I need, what I can give to myself is a reminder that I'm okay, that I am safe and secure in this moment, in this breath. You can feel, even for just one moment, a little bit of peace inside. As you send yourself love and compassion, and you recognize that your mind and your body are doing the best they can to take care of you. And also giving yourself compassion to recognize that when you have a craving, you can't force it to leave. The more that you want yourself to not crave, the more you crave. Dr. Judd talks about it as like surfing a wave. And you recognize that, hey, there's a craving here. And then you experience it like, all right, this is what it feels like in my body. This is what I feel like when I imagine eating it. And then you allow it, okay, this craving is here. This is what my body will feel like if I put it into me. And then you can ride that wave of craving by letting go of either having to have your craving fulfilled or forcing your craving to go away. So just noticing, opening your eyes in this moment, that same food that you have been craving often, that you sometimes overeat. And now that you've practiced getting real relief, noticing if your craving has changed. If you look at it, you smell it, you touch it, noticing if you still feel that same level of desire for it. Or maybe if you're ready to choose what Dr. Judd calls a bigger, better offer, where instead of giving in and actually taking a bite of this food in this moment, you make a choice to set it down and instead practice sending yourself some more of that love, that breath, breathing in and out for 6, cultivating that compassion, because perhaps you realize that what you actually needed was just to be a little bit more present to what's happening in your experience. Or you might recognize that actually you are physiologically hungry and you were craving this thing, but now maybe you recognize that your body's asking for nourishment and maybe you want to choose to eat something else. So just seeing what's real and what's true. And I want to finish this practice by actually eating this food that you've been craving. But it's a Snickers. You can see it better this way. I want you to practice eating it with more mindfulness than you've ever used ever before. And the way I want to do this is by asking you to close your eyes once you've looked at it. We've done this a few times now. You might be very familiar with what your craving food looks like. So close your eyes and just notice that if as you hold it in your hand, your mouth begins to water. And if your mouth begins to water, noticing where the saliva is coming from. And then in a moment, I'm going to invite you to take a bite of this food. But before you do, my invitation is for you to be really aware of the process of getting the food from where it is in your hand to in your mouth, noticing your hand and your arm as they move and know effortlessly just where to go. And then taking a bite. And as you take a bite, instead of chewing, take a bite and let it just kind of rest on your tongue for a moment. You can go ahead and do that now. Letting it rest on your tongue, closing your lips around it, and just rolling it around in your mouth. Just noticing the flavors. If you have a food, you can do this in your head if you don't have a food with you right now, and you can always practice this later. But for those of you who have a food in your mouth, moving it over to the right side and just taking one bite. And noticing how it feels and what it tastes like, what the experience is to chew on the right side. And then moving it over to the left. Yeah, I'm sorry the ice cream melted. Probably should use something a little more solid. So chewing on the left now. And noticing what it tastes like in your mouth. Like, what is the flavor profile? And then when you're ready to swallow, see if you can notice the intention to swallow. And then after you swallow, seeing if you can even feel it going down your throat into your belly. And notice if your hand has already started to reach back to put another bite in your mouth. One of the greatest tips I can give you for eating mindfully is to put your food down in between bites. My Snickers is getting super melty, so I'm going to mindfully lick it off my fingers really quick. So what I just noticed is that it tastes like chemicals in my mouth. It doesn't taste delicious. It doesn't taste like I want to keep eating it. It just tastes like something that's not real. If you're just joining us, I said that I hadn't had a Snickers in 3 years. So this is a fascinating experience for me because I used to crave Snickers all the time. And a lot of the foods that we crave, when we actually sit down and really carefully, slowly, mindfully eat one bite of them, we notice that they don't actually taste as good. We might notice that we have a story in our mind that this is our favorite thing to eat, but then when we actually eat it, we realize like, ugh, that happened to me recently with a cookie that I really thought I loved. And when I slowed down and took a really, really mindful bite, I recognized that I didn't want to eat any more of the cookie right then. So I'm curious, for anyone who actually did the practice of eating this food that you've been craving, did you have a similar experience? That when you took a bite of it, you recognized that maybe it wasn't actually rewarding to you. Maybe it didn't actually taste the way that you thought it did. This may or may not be true, but it's worth observing. With every time you have a craving and you choose consciously to eat, just seeing if whatever it was you had that craving for, if it's actually satiating you, if it actually tastes as good, if it's actually nourishing you in the way that you thought it would. And if it doesn't, giving yourself permission to put it down, to not keep eating just because it's in front of you. And perhaps even giving yourself permission to throw it away. I'm going to throw away this Snickers bar. So the practice of real relief when it comes to craving is all about recognizing that you have a craving, recognizing what you are craving, recognizing how it would feel in your body to eat it, experiencing that imagined version of you eating this food you're craving and as much of it as you would want, then allowing yourself to feel, what would it be like if I ate this food? How would my stomach feel? How would I feel emotionally? What thoughts would I be thinking? And then letting go of the craving with love, riding the wave by not forcing it to leave and by not giving into it, but just letting it be there, letting it stay and letting it go, and loving the fact that your mind wanted to get your attention because it needed something from you. So I'm going to finish this class today by asking you to open your eyes and just notice the pictures of the other people as they are floating on the screen, and just saying hello. There's about 300 of us all here together. So just sending out that goodness that's inside of you into them with each face that you see, each picture that you see, honoring that this person, no matter how different they are from you, no matter what they believe, no matter what their cravings are, that they too are a being of love. They just want to be loved. They want to love. And they also have cravings. They also want to feel nurtured and nourished. So feeling into that sense of our basic goodness that we all share. And I'm going to finish our class with the rest of this song. May I be open. And if you've enjoyed this practice, please follow me on the Insight Timer. It will be released within a week or maybe even a few days. And yeah, I really appreciate all of the loves. And if this has been impactful, please leave a donation. This impacts me to be able to keep doing these lives every single day. I have 9 classes coming up here on the Insight Timer in the next week, and it's your generous donations that allow me to continue offering them to you. I'm so grateful to be here with you for the last hour, and I'm hoping that you were able to find some real relief. And even if you weren't having a craving as we did this, at least now it's embedded in your mind. You have a few more tools in your toolkit that you can use next time you have a craving. Wow. Yeah, I'm seeing the comments. Thank you for your reflections of what this practice was like for you. Thank you for all the love. And I appreciate your generous donations as I keep going with sharing my gifts here. And I want to just end with a song. The words to this part are, may I be open. May I be free. May I believe that I'm whole and complete. When we're craving something and we give into it, we usually beat ourselves up and we feel shame and guilt. We don't feel whole and complete, we feel incomplete. Sometimes we feel isolated, we feel shameful. So you're giving yourself permission to remember your true nature and to go back into your heart. May I be open. May I be free. May I believe that I'm whole and complete. May I be open. May I be free. May I believe that I'm whole and complete. And the last stanza of the song is what I hope so much for you when it comes to your cravings, that you're able to do with ease and grace and expediently. May I be open. May I be free. May I release. May I be at peace. May I be open. May I be free. May I release. May I be at peace. May I be open. May I be free. May I release. May I be at peace. Just letting that come in and just feeling the openness, the freedom, the release, and the peace that comes when you let yourself be with your cravings without judging them and without attaching to them and without having to satisfy them. Thank you all so much for coming. I have a bunch of classes left in the next week or so. Tomorrow I'll be teaching a class on real anxiety relief. And then right after that I will be teaching, it's actually not teaching, I'll be guiding a meditation called Calm Your Mind, Open Your Heart, which is really good if you're needing to really just go in and just nourish yourself. And then after that, on Friday, I'll be teaching a vocal meditation to open yourself into your voice, the freedom that comes in your voice. And then a class on real stress relief. And then on Saturday, I'm doing a No Fear Halloween meditation. Sunday, I'm leading a No Fear November intention setting for the whole month. The day before the election, we'll do some pre-election anxiety relief. Election day, we'll have a class called Vote for Love. And the day after the election, a class called Feel Everything, because who knows how it's going to go. But I'm here to support you, and we're all in this together. So thank you for your generous donations. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for the follows. I look forward to meditating with you again here soon. And this song, May I Be Open, is not out yet on the Insight Timer or Spotify anywhere else, but it will be soon, and I'll keep you guys updated. If you have any questions and you need personal support around this practice, I would love to help you. You can feel free to send me a message here on the Insight Timer, and I'll get back with you. Sending you all so much love, so much peace. Aloha.